The Nvidia RTX 3060 comes out tomorrow. In today's video, I'm going to tell you where you can get one, what time it's going to release, as well as some really important things that you have to know about this GPU. Let's get started. Hey guys, Tiago with Classical Technology here. Some say every time you smash that like button, your luck hit points goes up by as much as 10%, letting you net a new GPU. Alright, so let's talk about the big boy at hand today, or maybe the little boy, the RTX 3060 with 12 gigabytes of VRAM. There's a lot that you have to know about the GPU specifically, as well as when it's going to launch, what time, where are the best places to get it. So first, let's tackle the GPU itself and some of the most important things that you have to know. Now, with the cryptocurrency mining boom that's happening, the number one thing that you have to know, Nvidia with some type of firmware as well as hardware handshake are going to limit the mining hash rate of this GPU to around half. That means if people were looking to buy this to game and on the occasional, off time when they're not gaming, put this to mind where they're going to get about half the gains that they usually would on another comparable GPU. Up until this point, this is the first and only GPU that Nvidia is actually doing this. According to them, there is some type of handshake between the software and hardware. So that means that it should be a little bit harder for people that have big mining operations to be able to flash the firmware or BIOS of this GPU in order to bypass that issue. Of course, Nvidia tried to plan ahead and make that happen. So we don't know if that's going to happen or not, if people are going to be able to quote unquote modify or tamper with the GPU, but that at least is Nvidia's attempt to reduce the ability of miners to buy this GPU. Maybe they look at the price that it's supposed to be and see half the mining rate, and maybe they won't be as interested, and then theoretically more would be available for gamers. Well, I guess on paper that makes sense, but as we talked about in yesterday's video, this is a move that probably is not really going to help gamers at all. I still think miners are probably still going to buy these GPUs. Even with half the rate, they'll make some magic to make it work, either with firmware or accepting that it's going to be mining at half the rate. And in the end, this may even just hurt gamers, like we mentioned early on in the video. People that bought it to game, but maybe at night they want to leave it mining to try to make up some of that cost. That's definitely going to hinder some of that as well as who knows what's this going to do to the resale value of these GPUs. Of course, Nvidia is also going to be producing some CMP or crypto mining processors, which are supposed to be specific just for cryptocurrency mining. The idea here is that it's supposed to leave more GPUs for gamers, but like we mentioned yesterday, this may affect gamers adversely in the future. If cryptocurrency mining sort of tanks, they're not going to have secondhand GPUs to be able to buy because these CMP units don't have a display out, so they're pretty much useless for anything but mining. Now that we've discussed this strategy by Nvidia with mining as it pertains to the 3060, let's talk about the GPU itself. We're going to talk about stock and availability and where to get it, but first let's analyze if this GPU is really even worth it getting it if we're not discussing stock issues or just getting the GPU out of desperation. First of all, the 3060 Ti is, for the most part, especially for gamers, a much better gaming GPU. Even though it doesn't have the 12 gigabytes of VRAM, it's still the same speed, the GDDR6. It's not the X variant that's found in the more expensive 3080 and 3090, but the 3060 Ti will have better rasterization performance. And if we were going to go by basically just the MSRP, 329 versus 399, that difference really isn't worth it. The 3060 Ti is a much better GPU for traditional gaming for that price. Now, we do reach another very important point, and that's going to be the price and MSRP of this GPU. Supposedly, it's supposed to come out at $329, but we see many problems with this. First, there's not going to be a Founders Edition available. Within the last few weeks and months, the only GPUs that have been found basically at their original MSRP that they were launched at last year are these Founders Edition. Basically, every third-party add-in board partner GPU from like EVGA, MSI, Asus, all of these GPUs have seen tremendous price increases since the beginning of the year due to the exemption on tariffs that happened, and that way everything went up like 20 to 25%. Some GPUs got a massive premium, some 3070s. I even made a video on the 3070 Supreme. It used to be MSRP of $499 for Founders Edition. You could expect this one maybe to be under $600, but this GPU was over $800. So you see that's pretty much a $300 premium on the 3070. That is a significant increase, and the 3060 is already seeing some very outrageous prices, and it's not even out yet. We've seen even an early Best Buy picture that shows it at $629. I would think most models probably will be at least in the $400 to $500 range. I wouldn't be surprised if we see these at $600, and here we're talking about MSRP. It's possible these will reach even higher prices when we're discussing third-party sellers, or scalpers as a lot of people like to call them. So I really don't see the price on these being anywhere near that MSRP. Now, if Nvidia happened to have a massive amount of stock of these, maybe that would help, at least on the secondhand market. Maybe that would dissuade scalpers and things like that. But that doesn't change the fact that the MSRP is still going to be very, very high. I'd be very surprised if you do find any at the $329 mark. That's going to be one of the biggest rarities of the year, even more rare than getting like a 3080 at MSRP. But if Nvidia had a massive amount of these, of course it's not going to meet the demand that's out there, and maybe if miners really didn't care about them too much, if the mining hash rate is cut in half, who knows, maybe a little bit of a peculiar, crazy situation could develop where gamers actually get more of these GPUs in their hands without having to pay scalpers. But certainly we're going to find that out tomorrow and the next day. We're going to know pretty much how the stock situation was. All right, so the 3060, where can you get it? When is it coming out? Now, February 25th is the date that it's going to be coming out, and if we go by previous times on releases of other GPUs, it should be around 9 a.m. Eastern time in the US. Now, I don't have any inside knowledge or anything like that if that's the exact time, but judging from all the Nvidia launches during the last few months, 9 a.m. more or less is the time that this happened. Keep in mind that some websites selling this GPU, as well as other GPUs in the past, may stagger that release time so more people get a chance to actually get it and avoid bots, but that's something you're going to have to see and try, because every release is pretty much new information that we have to deal with. So now that you know around the time that it's going to be released, where are going to be the best places that you can find this without having to pay a scalper? Even if it's a high MSRP, at least it's MSRP. That's probably the best we're going to do at this point. Not an optimal situation, but stock and availability has been crazy, so we can expect a new release like this to continue those really intense levels. The first choice that you have, and if you happen to live by a Microcenter, and I know there are only about 25 in the United States, and international people, of course, are not going to have a chance to buy it, but for those people that live within even a few hours of a Microcenter, that's definitely going to be your best bet to getting a GPU on launch day. During the 3070 launch day, there were people that showed up pretty much close to opening. They didn't have to stay overnight, and a lot of people actually got GPUs. The 3060 Ti also, a lot of people were able to get them in person at Microcenter. Now, the 3060 being a more popular GPU, you would imagine more people would buy it because it comes in at the lowest price point so far out of all of the GPUs, even taking into account the inflated MSRPs that we're seeing. This one, hopefully, is going to be nicely available. So if you have a local Microcenter, I'm sure there are people probably even lined up now at the time of this video. I mean, I wouldn't go that far. I think if you get there early enough, at least maybe an hour or a few hours before opening, if the stock levels aren't surprising like it was for the AMD release, maybe we could actually see a lot of gamers get these GPUs. As during these big launch days, they tend to restock all of the other GPUs as well. So if somebody can't get the new stuff, generally they may be able to find something else, or maybe like a Ryzen 5000 CPU. If you don't have one near you, then well, stay tuned. I have other options that may get you a 3060 as well. The second place that a lot of people have gotten these GPUs, that's going to be the EVGA Queue system. Now, this is going to be specific only to Nvidia, as EVGA doesn't make any AMD GPUs, but I myself, like I mentioned before, I got my 3090 through the EVGA Queue system. At least you kind of guarantee yourself a spot in line. Just keep in mind, for some GPUs, it's it's taken a ridiculous amount of time, especially the very popular ones like a 3080. But if you get in for the 3060 early enough, there's a pretty good chance you may be able to snag one eventually at MSRP. My 3090 took around, I think, 5 or 6 weeks from the time I signed up to when I got the actual notification. Some people have been waiting for months for like a 3080, so your time certainly will vary, but it's one of the best ways to actually get a GPU. The EVGA system is awesome. Their warranty is generally very good. Basically how it works, you go to their website, you put notify me, and when something comes in stock, they're going to email you, and generally you'll have about 8 hours to go and check out. It's not like you get a notification and instantly you have to go or else you lose it. You do get a little bit of time, which is actually really nice nowadays. And a third place to check out as well, that's going to be Best Buy. They actually have a really cool system as well that supposedly is harder for bots to crack. Basically, for most of these GPU launches, they have not had them within stores, but sometimes some people have walked into a Best Buy and seen these GPUs. I certainly would not line up or advise you to go to Best Buy. These GPUs that people got in stores were after releases, so generally on release day, it seems to be online only, and they'll probably say that when they show you the GPU. So Best Buy has a system where you actually see it in stock and you click add to cart, then it kind of grays itself out and it sort of goes on a timer, then eventually the add to cart button sort of becomes alive again and you can click it, add to your cart, and then quickly check out. I was able to get the RTX 3090 this way, the Founders Edition from them, so it is possible. It is going to be a little bit more frustrating than maybe like the EVGA Queue system where you just like set it and forget it for a while, or going to Microcenter, but the Best Buy system certainly is going to be a way to get a GPU at MSRP, and it has some of these little bit better bot protections. Sometimes you may be able to get the GPU shipped to you, like I was able to do that with the 3090, but depending where you are, you may have to do like a store pickup, like a ship to store pickup. So just keep that in mind when you're buying the GPU, but certainly I recommend the Best Buy system. Use your app, that seems to be a little bit faster. And remember, if you're using an app for like Best Buy or Newegg or anything like that, remember to keep your Apple Pay on or something that you can check out really fast. Be logged in. That way, when the notification comes through, you can pretty much quickly get through with it. Now, the fourth place, like I just mentioned, is going to be Newegg. Now, this one is tricky because it seems to be a very popular spot, maybe for bots and all the scalpers look at these GPUs. I've gotten lucky using some of like the Twitter notifications to get stuff from Newegg before. Newegg is certainly a place, especially on launch day, that may be susceptible to bots and maybe even the website crashing. They certainly haven't improved it that much since, you know, the RTX 3080 came out, but Newegg once again is going to be available to many more people across the country. And of course, there are some other places. These are just the top 4 places that either I've gotten GPUs from, or I know a lot of my viewers have gotten GPUs. Amazon is always hit or miss. Sometimes you'll have really high priced GPUs on there from people that, you know, put it up, third-party sellers. That seems to be also a very popular place for bots and things like that. I haven't personally been able to get anything from Amazon that's really hot like that. All right, guys, so thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment below with what your strategies are, where you're planning to get a GPU. Are you going to line up at Microcenter or try one of these online places? Remember to subscribe, smash that like button. I'll be doing some updates to see how the 3060 launch went. Hopefully it goes good and a lot more gamers get them. I know a lot of international sellers also watch, so good luck to you guys. Those markets are always a lot different. That's why I don't even try to explain it or to find places in different countries in Europe. It's already fairly difficult to find a GPU in the US, and I know some European markets are even more tricky with their specific stores. So good luck to you guys out there as well. So remember to subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video.